All right, so welcome everybody. Good evening, everybody. Here we are together again. So, this stream, how Wikipedia reinforces the one drop rule. So, shout out to Emily. This is actually in dedication to Emily. She knows who she is. She'll be listening to this. And she basically kind of encouraged me or prompted me to talk about this and to address this system that we see with the technocrats, if I can say that, and how they basically reinforce the one drop rule, how they shadow ban mulattoes, and just the word mulatto, how it's shadow banned and how it's quote unquote deemed offensive. When you look at all the dictionary definitions, just do a quick Google search and you'll find it there. And we'll address that as well. But it definitely ties into Wikipedia and how even on this platform, this application, which is Google, which is YouTube, and how Wikipedia is basically there in concert or connection with YouTube. We're going to go over that as well. How there's certain videos where if it's a controversial topic, it's basically fact checked, and you'll have a link that's already within the kind of metrics within YouTube, Google, where they'll put a link of Wikipedia that will give a detailed explanation. Like if you talk about the bug, the beer bug, C19, or if you talk about the New World Order, okay, or any other, moon landing, hoax, etc. You talk about these controversial topics, you'll see how in your video description, it will automatically pop up uh, a Wikipedia link. So we see a connection there, okay? Google, the major media platforms like YouTube, and how Wikipedia, how they're working in concert. Now, what I'm addressing, as I titled the stream, is how Wikipedia reinforces the one drop rule. And this was kind of brought to my attention by Emily. Of course, I've been well aware for the past couple years of how, as I've said, the technocrats within Google and academia and all over, okay, the intelligence apparatus, if you will, how there's a concerted effort to neutralize and destabilize us, becoming a solidified demographic and group in this nation. They want to keep us as a subordinate underneath blackness. Okay. So we're going to go into detail in how they do that, how they're strategic about that with their semantics, with their wording, and their literature, essentially. So, how do I start this? The thing is, this is a very complex topic. This is something that I'm going to be talking about for a very long time until we develop some solutions to solve this, because this is our number one battle. Is how do we, develop an independent, cohesive network that is independent from blackness? Because we see with the academics, with the technocrats, they want to keep us underneath a specific demographic to be their subordinates, quote unquote, punching bags, essentially. So this is a major dilemma. This is not, I can't just, talk about this in one stream and just be done. I'm done. I'm out of here. No, there's going to be new developments, new information, and we're going to continue this discussion. But I'm going to do the best I can with this and how I kind of organize this. Like I always say, I'm just one dude with some balls and a will to speak up. So first off, the one drop rule is mulatto history. Okay, the one drop rule is not Black American history. The one drop rule is mulatto American history. The rule was basically established to restrict those who could potentially pass as white. It is our birthright where we are mulatto, European, and African. There's those of us who could pass. There's you know, uh, basically that status of quote unquote passing, right? There's a whole history of that. Clearly, I can't pass for a white person. I laugh. I always laugh constantly because it's like I could pass for a Puerto Rican or a Brazilian, right? But and there's a lot of you guys can, okay? A lot of you can pass for Arabic, etc. But black people can't pass. Okay. Black people can't pass for anything except for black. So it's funny you hear these people like, well, all African Americans are mixed, back on the plantation days. We's all biracial. We all got a little European blood and we all mix. There's no such thing as being biracial. That's what they tell you. But none of those individuals can pass as anything but black, right? When you look at a guy like me, you look at a lot of others, a lot of my supporters, etc., a lot of mulattoes around the globe, even these colored people in South Africa I'm talking to, or pardos in Brazil, uh, we could pass for other ethnicities. Some of us, depending on our percentage of European, right? Like a guy like Logic, the rapper, who's quote unquote technically a quadroon, but he identifies as biracial. Okay, he could pass as white, but he identifies as biracial. And there's others. He's just one guy. And yeah, very complex topic. So how I'm going to start this off is I'm going to share a clip with you guys here. It was actually on my, I uploaded this clip on my channel. So let's get into that right now. How are you guys doing this evening? I got some of you guys up in here. Hit the like button. Probably got a bunch of haters. It's a sad reality when you become somewhat of a social media personality. My whole goal here was not to grift off people and to make a buck. I got employment. I'm working. I got investments. I got jobs. Okay, I got side hustles, etc. Like I'm good. And so I came up here. The whole thing was to develop a community, speak to people, provide a voice to people who oftentimes feel like they don't have a voice. But when you do that, you basically become a target, especially a guy like me who's very kind of how do I say visible, right? Yeah, I'm a visible guy. I just uploaded a short today, got my face all over the screen. And people could say whatever the fuck they want, talking all this shit because I'm bald or something. And I'm like, look, pussy, I'm on camera, ho. Like I'm very confident who I am, very bold. But I noticed that the people who talk all this mess, they're never really on camera. See, if you're on camera talking crap, okay, I respect that. At least you're on camera. That's cool. But then you got these weird hoes who are like, they're never cammed up, they're never on camera, and they're talking about me. It's like, look, the whole thing with me is like, I want to create a community, and I've done that. I've been very successful. The whole thing now it's to expand into look at these problems, address the problems, and find solutions to them. Let me share this clip here I shared. It's just a basic little summary of making multiracial Americans count on the census forms. Now, then again, multiracial is very broad. Nevertheless, let's get into it.
Has been a staple in American democracy. It determines which groups receive public services, educational funding, targeted medical research, and government representation. Today, multiracial Americans are one of the most underrepresented and overlooked groups. While they were
Underrepresented and overlooked groups, and you're in a constitutional republic, those of us in the United States of America, a representative government where you literally have a democracy where your representatives go and petition for you in the government. And all these mulattoes who are serving in government at the city, the county, the state, and the federal level, they are not pushing a mulatto agenda. Okay. So one size fit all, we're all Americans, all that stuff. And even the white politicians, we can say that as well. I mean, because that's kind of the status quo. They'll use code words like heritage and um what's another one they use? Patriots. Okay. You have a lot of these characters on the right. I don't have to get into that right now, but they use code words to kind of dog whistle their constituents and supporters. But we see that within like a lot of these mulattoes in high office, and not even high office, but even local office. Like they're just, we represent all the people, everybody, you know, come on in. It's all good. It's like, yeah, that's fine. But when I'm from California, Southern California, and even at the local level, where the community I grew up in, you had a large contingency of Vietnamese people straight from Vietnam, and they developed a whole community, a whole business network, Little Saigon, and it's very admirable what they've been able to do, developing their cohesion as a community. And they have literally a zero unemployment rate. They have no issue finding a job. Any sector, any industry, they have jobs available to them. And when they get into public office, even at the local, the smaller level, like they advocate for their own. You know, they're unapologetic about it. And even Latinos are that way as well. I see that. And Chicanos or Latinos, they're unapologetic about, immigration rights and, supporting people who, have a Hispanic background. But I just don't see that same kind of drive and will for those who are mulatto, because this whole mulatto consciousness is quite fairly new, to be honest. I mean, obviously, they had the like mulatto.com 20 years ago, whatever. You've had these forums and these online spaces and stuff. But where are they at today? Like they didn't continue on. They didn't basically evolve with the times, is what I'm seeing. I just don't see it. I don't see it. A lot of these discussions, when we talk about biracial or mulatto, or not even mulattoes. That's the whole thing. They're talking about biracials or mixes or multiracial or, golden or exotical. It's just for everybody, basically just underneath blacks and black adjacent. It's for everybody. It's not an independent kind of body politic. And we see that reflected with the politicians. They're not pushing anything that's self-serving and independent, which is an issue. We got to start somewhere. So yeah, we're not represented. That's the whole point why I pause. We're not represented. That's an issue. Everyone else gets representation. Okay. And we don't. I'm not sitting here to cry that we're the victim. We have to look at these numbers, look at the problems, and develop solutions to how we get representation. I'm doing that with my channel, with my social media. I'm giving us representation. You don't have to like me. You can whine and cry and try to copy everything I'm doing, but I'm doing something specifically for a target demographic that I feel is underrepresented and that oftentimes feels like their voices are drowned out, giving them inspiration and courage to speak up. So let's continue. Let's finish this off.
Only 3% of the population, according to the 2010 census. Recent independent.
Only 3% of the population, according to the 2010 census. The reason why, we know literally over half of these damn mulattoes or multiracials, they just check black. Like my daddy black, all the white people, they see me as just a black because I'm from the hood. I'm just a black. Half of these motherfuckers just check the black box because they don't feel like they can even contest any of these state, local governments, county or federal level. They can't email the representatives. They can't message people and say, hey, wait a second. You're discriminating against me. You're denying my humanity for me to self-identify as how I see fit. Okay. Nobody contests it or challenges it. I mean, there are people who do. Okay. I'm one guy, right? I'm the bad guy on social media, but a lot of people don't. This is why we're in this kind of sticky situation that we see right now currently. But to me, honestly, I'm very positive and optimistic. It looks good to me. I'm looking at the younger people and I navigate over on TikTok and I'm seeing these. I'm like, look, it looks really good. These people, these younger people, they realize they don't have a choice. They don't have an option. They got to embrace this mulatto-ness full force. The older people who want to suck butt and kiss butt to the community, leave them where they're at. Okay. But yeah, talking about 3%, our numbers are way higher than that. I go to any major city across this nation, United States, a big fucking country. Big country. I have most of my students and clients are European, and I always talk to them about, just the geography wise and just the size of this nation versus a lot of European countries. It's like, damn, their whole countries are like the sizes of like a lot of states, that we have here in America. And it's like, it's a big country. So a lot of people, right? And you go to any major city across this nation, all the way from New York, all the way down to San Diego, California, where I lived for a few years, went to school. It's like the mulattoes are already here. This is 2024. The mulattoes are already here across America, and our numbers are growing. So it's up to you guys. I'm just one voice out here. But the 3%, I'm guessing we're double that for sure. For sure, we're double that. The issue is a lot of these mulattoes don't feel like they have another option. So they just check the black box and just want to fit in and be in good standing with Pookie and Shaniqua and all this, Yeah, right. Okay, let's continue on.
And studies predict their actual value to be much higher. This inaccuracy is because many multiracial Americans only choose one race on the census form, or check some other race box. Both
Or they check some other race box. We already kind of went over that. Most of these mulattoes just check the black box. It's very obvious. And I'm guilty of that at one time. I did do that. And there's been times where I checked the white box. I was like, fuck you guys. If you don't have an option for me, I'm going to sit there and look you in the eye and laugh at you. Like, yeah, I got a white mom. I'm going to check the white box. What are you going to do? He got like a white clerk there looking at me. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, the thing is, they want to deny us our humanity. They want to literally position us and kind of force us into, like, we didn't ask for this. Okay, but we see the problem. We see there's an issue here. We need to make the adjustments and we need to advocate. We need to be our own self advocates. Nobody else is going to give a damn about you. Everybody wants to maintain the status quo to keep you as a subordinate. Okay, it's up to you. Let's continue on with this.
of which will not count as biracial or multiracial. Instead, if you're biracial or multiracial,
Respect everybody in the chat. Want to address this comment. Got real mulatto in the house. But Celine right here says Monaco is like a city-state province in like the coastal region of France. Very wealthy city-state. Yeah, it's kind of classified as a country essentially. It's like a vacation hub. Like I said, it's like a city-state province. It's super small. It's like literally a city-state, like a Vatican essentially. But yeah, I guess you call it a country, consider it a country for sure. But it's on the land of France, right? The real mulatto says communita. Yeah, of course, and we are underrepresented. Because when you look at a lot of your representatives, even if they share your phenotype, they look like you. You're thinking like, hey, this is, Barack Obama or Cory Booker or Karen Bass or even Kamala Harris. We could throw her in that category. Like, they're not really representing you. They don't. Okay. Yep. And yep, shout out to you. And yeah, we got Val in the chat. We got right here, it says Wikipedia said once multiracial population was 10%, but that includes anyone that's 2 or more background, right? Yep. That's not specific to mulatto, is European African. Because I'm not saying that I'm a victim. I don't advocate for victim status and all this crap. We're not victims here. I'm not on this channel. We're just saying that we're distinctively different than other groups that are, say, Hapa, or those who are like people who are like Caucasian and Latino, which is very large mixed race population. And a lot of times this concept of passing, where it's like, well, they don't even like, a lot of them, they could pass, right? So they can just be, they can go with just, oh, I'm just an American. Oh yeah, my mom, she's a brown skinned Mexican. My dad's white. I'm just American, right? Like I use a guy, for example. I use these examples because these are good examples. What's this cat? Justin Gaethje, because I follow MMA, and obviously I'm from California, the Southwest. So in this region, you have a lot of people that are of this kind of racial configuration. And I have a lot of friends who are of that racial configuration, but this is basically what they could fall into the multiracial category, right? They could check that if they wish to. This is a biracial guy, Justin Gaethje. He's a lightweight MMA fighter. He's a pretty big star, 35 years old, 155 pound. It's a lightweight division. He's got a lot of money, very successful at his age. I'm guessing Yeah, his net worth is probably a couple million around there. I don't know. He could ask for more money, but then again, he's a young guy, very accomplished in combat sports, but he has a Mexican mom, brown skin, like, Mexican mom, white father. You look at him, everybody on planet Earth, right, would just say he's a white guy, right? Okay. And there's another guy as well. I think his name is Josh Thompson. He's the same configuration, but I believe, let me, I like to use these guys as an example because this falls in line with the kind of whole multiracial concept. When they talk about, I'm mixed. Well, yeah, everyone else is mixed too, but the heritage is a major component. We have Josh Thompson. Okay, he has a YouTube channel or podcast. He's an accomplished fighter as well. He's about a decade older than Justin Gaethje. Same racial configuration. His mom is Mexican. He's from California guy. His mom is Mexican. His dad is white. He's an American guy. But you look at him and, I've seen him in public. I didn't physically meet him. I didn't shake his hand, but we were in the same room. I was working at an event in Anaheim. It's an MMA event. He was there. So I saw him publicly, but I followed his podcast and his fight career and stuff. He's a fighter. But you're looking at him, yeah, and he's very proud of his heritage. He doesn't lie that his fact is his mom's Mexican, his dad's white. So he's technically biracial. But mulattoes are not in the same category as this guy, right? So I just want to point that out just for some kind of provide some clarity, is how the kind of ambiguity, it doesn't really serve us and help us, because that's a way for them to kind of drown us out or wash us out or basically erase us in a way, because mulatto is very distinct and specific. Because a lot of people seem to have an issue with mulatto. Like, there was a woman, let me see, did I finish that clip? Let me finish this clip here, and then I'll go back to what I'm thinking about with the lady talking about how in Cuba people don't seem to have an issue with mulattoes, but in America they seem to. Let's get into this.
Choose more than one box on your census form. Celebrate your unique heritage, give multiracial Americans a voice, and join the movement in making a more multicultural.
Yeah, so I don't know. It kind of, with the guitar strumming in the background, sounds like kind of some liberal guy. I just shared the clip because it basically provides some commentary, and it provides, it keeps the conversation going. So let's what I got here. Yeah, I want to share. I was talking about in Cuba, and I think this was good how this lady was talking about how in Cuba, I got this right here. Shout out to this lady too. It was Jasmine Guy. They were at some event somewhere. And this lady here is, I put mulattoes on the rise. I don't know how old this clip is specifically, but this is a Cuban mulatta. And let's listen to what she has to say.
Because I am mulatto as well. I as well grew up as a mulatto.
She says, I as well grew up as a mulatto. I believe this event was specifically for biracial people. Like, it says BP. I don't know what that it stands for there, but it has there Nor Blanc. Nor is French for black, and Blanc is like French for white, I believe. And I saw something on this board they have here. I don't know what they call that, the background. It said something like mulatto somewhere. So the whole discussion here, they're centering around mulatto-ness. And you have Jasmine Guy here, and she's saying she grew up as a mulatto, but in Cuba, and she points out the fact that, look, where she comes from in Cuba, being mulatto was like celebrated. There was nothing, like, there was no stigma attached to that. But she understands the difference, the contrast in America, where there's massive stigma attached to that. Now, I'm not sitting here to be the victim. Okay. My whole position is we got to realize we see the problem. Okay. We have to galvanize, develop cohesion, and defend ourselves.
But we embrace mulattoes there. It's kind of like,
see in the background, I'm looking there, it says like Mulatto Saga or something like that. So I don't know the whole background of what the event they were at, but it seemed like, I don't know how long ago this was either, But they were having these type of discussions even like then. This is probably, I don't know, maybe 5-10 years ago. So there's people out here. I'm just one guy on the internet with some balls, okay, and a nasty attitude. My detractors will say that, right? But I have will and determination. And I'm seeing these other people who are having this discussion, and it's very inspiring. And my goal is to inspire other people to continue to have this discussion. But don't sit here and whine and cry and say you're a victim. Find solutions, okay?
The thing to be. But when you come here to America, it's like they don't know what to do with you.
Yeah.
There's so many.
That's a major thing. When she's talking about this nuance of where she grew up, where it's like, well, where she comes from in Cuba, she's saying, oh, it's probably like the thing to be a mulatto. It's very natural. But in America, they don't know what to do with you. I remember talking to a guy. I was learning some Spanish from him several years ago. And the discussion came up about race. And he's from Cuba. And he talked about how in Cuba, how there's like 3 different races. He said, oh, there's like white guys, because he was like a more white presenting guy. But in America, we'd call him Hispanic, but he thought he was white. That's fine. That's how he thinks. And he said, oh, there's black people in Cuba. And he said, oh, and then there's like mulattos. So, yeah. Yeah. In these other countries, the designation of mulatto is honored and recognized. Where this one drop rule bullshit, they're continuously trying to reinforce it today in this society, but it's not really working. There's too many people pushing back. But it's very easy to jump on social media and push back against the pro-wax and Afrocentrics. We know they're proud victims. It's easy to challenge them or push back or use them for content. But when you got Google, when you got Wikipedia, you got the technocrats who are in bed with academia and the politicians to suppress you from becoming a solidified group. That's a more, massive challenge. But we got to do it. We got to start somewhere. Let me finish this off.
Many of us out there that feel this way. A rally of these biracial people that, a voice.
And they're part of that rally. These are both mulattas. They are part of that rally of mulatto voices, right?
Being spoken out for us.
Yeah, well, we have completely come out, like out of the closet.
Yes.
We have come out, and we're just like, Obama has pulled us out, and we're all here. And I see them more. I didn't see that many biracial people. Now they're everywhere. I'm like, where do they come from?
Right.
Like,
see that I saw that on the wall when she kind of turned her head. It says like mulatto sago or something like that. And it says Nor Et Blanc. So it's like the event. I don't have the details on the event they were at, but it was like a mulatto specific like event, to honor us. And this was a while ago. So I don't know how long ago it was. I got to find out more of that, but very interesting. People are having these discussions. I'm just one voice continuing that discussion.
we're in a different world.
That's right. They're stepping
Jasmine
out.
Guy, where I look around now and I'm like, they're all coming out. Where do they come from?
That's right. That's right.
Like Chris Humphreys.
Yes.
Like, where did he come from?
Yeah. I wanted to point that out, the significance and even the nuances with different nations and how we're recognized. So let me see, where do we go from here? Like I said, this is a discussion we're going to be having a long. I tried to find ways to kind of organize this. I don't want to be too lengthy and long and kind of bore you guys, but this is serious. Those of you who are kind of like my core supporters who really enjoy this content and embrace this content, because, I have people who watch me to like find me slip up and say something that they can like turn around and be like, gotcha moment. I told you he's a bad guy. He said a bad word or something like that. It's like, you're going to waste your time. I'm going to continue to say some stuff that's going to kind of piss you off, but just go here on Google and type in mulatto. Definitions from Oxford Languages, mulatto. It says offensive, dated. Okay. But you can't click on it and you can't contest it and say, well, why is it offensive? Who is it offensive towards? The definition: a person of mixed white and black ancestry, especially a person with one white and one black parent. Notice right here, whoever put this definition in, why is it that white is undercase, the W, but the black is uppercased. You guys not see the trickery that they're doing here? And there's a lot of white people who will embrace the one drop rule, because a lot of them, there's a lot of whites who are fearful of mulattoes because they feel they feel like most mulattoes identify with black. Well, yeah, if you look at them and say they're black and you're racist towards them and push them out, or you don't acknowledge them for who they are as mixed, you just say you're just a black, you're just an N-word, you push them out, and then they identify as black. Well, it's like, you know, and then you look at like who developed this to where they're literally undercasing white, but they're uppercasing black. Like, who authorized this? I'm trying to, because I don't know. I don't see the sources, feedback. There's no links to click. Oxford Languages. Oxford is one of the oldest institutions in England, right? Their university, I think it was established literally 1,000 years ago in like 1010. I don't have the exact date, but the Oxford is kind of one of the authorities in the English language, the university. And they have other dictionaries, you know, we're all aware of that. But I'm looking at this like, okay, it's a noun. It's a person, place, or thing. Mulatto are people. You say here, mulatto people. Mulatto is a racial classification to refer to people of mixed African and European ancestry. Its use is considered outdated and offensive in several languages, only 2 languages. It says here, including English and Dutch, but it does not have the same associations in languages such as Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese, the Romance languages, right? As the lady we just saw the clip, she's from Cuba, where she said mulattoes are embraced. And of course, that is Spanish language in that nation. So very interesting. We know in like English, when we look at the authority with the Oxford Dictionary, but they undercase white and they uppercase black ancestry, right? Especially a person of one white or one black parent, or a mulatto has 2 mulatto parents. Okay. There's other terms they use. They talk about like first generation biracial versus an MGM. This is just some pro whack shit to me. You're either mulatto or you're not, period. We have mulattoes who have admixture, just like you have blacks with admixture and Europeans with admixture, like a Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves, the Hollywood superstar, A-list actor, is mainly European. Everybody accepts that and acknowledges that, but he does have admixture. He has some Asian ancestry. Okay. But that works the same way with mulattoes. We have people who are genetically, their culture heritage wise, they're mainly European African, but they might have some indigenous roots. They might have some Asian roots, right? See, this is how I look at it, as this mulatto, this oneness, where people seem to understand and respect the autonomy of everybody else, but with us, they place this stigma onto us to basically neutralize us to where we are tribeless. Everybody else is entitled to have their tribe and to navigate society effectively and be competitive. But with us, there's a concerted effort to neutralize us, to be maintained underneath blackness. And we look at this like with the technocrats, and it says like here, a person with one white, and it's undercased white, and one black parent. Why do they capitalize and uppercase black when black is an adjective? It's a color. That's why you've had tribal warfare since the inception. Like, I know there's a lot of Afrocentrics who want to kind of romanticize Africa. Though all the different tribes and the languages, they all got along, they all loved each other. It wasn't until the evil white man came to Africa that all the problems, there's a lot of the pro-wax who push that crap. You've always had tribalism with Africans, still today, more today than ever before. You've always had that. Other groups who are just more sophisticated and technologically savvy realize they can kind of capitalize off the tribalism of the Bantus, and they can make it to their benefit to where they can profit off of it. That's what you essentially see. But yeah, it's this interesting stuff. I kind of lost my train of thought there. It happens a lot when I'm overthinking, but I got you guys here. I see your guys' comments, engagement. So let's go into the next bit. That's addressing, of course, Wikipedia. So let's get into it. Like I said, shout out to Emily. This conversation is going to be consistent and constant with this channel, with all my social media, because this is like much bigger than me. This is for us, the collective. I'm just one guy. I'm not that educated. I have a bachelor's degree, university level, but I'm just one dude. Like, this is a passion project for me. This is a passion project. Someone's got to do something somewhere. I see what's out there on social media, and like, nobody's speaking for me or for us, if that makes sense. As far as this mulatto conversation, I just don't see it. I do not see it at all. I see a bunch of grifters. I see a bunch of people who want to make money off mulattoes, but they don't want to provide any real solution-based or community building-based an environment where mulattoes feel like, hey, this is my spot. This is for me. I belong here. So shout out to Emily. Like I said, community service. This is kind of dedication to her. This discussion, she really kind of pushed me to be like, hey, talk about this. How Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia, how they specifically are embracing the one drop rule. And how I titled the stream, how Wikipedia reinforces the one drop rule. Let's read the definition of African American. African Americans, also known as Black Americans or Afro Americans, are an ethnic group consisting of Americans with partial or total ancestry from one of the Black racial groups of America. African Americans constitute the third largest racial or ethnic group in the U.S. after white Americans and Hispanic Americans. So they're third class now. It was historically they're second class citizen. They're now third, right? Because Hispanics and Latinos are now, they're the second class. The whites are still the majority. We're in a democracy. Majority rules, minority loses. So following those numbers, it says African Americans are third largest, and they want to keep you mulattoes in that group. And these technocrats with Wikipedia and Google, etc., they're going to probably shadow ban me now for saying this. It is what it is. We got to get the information out here. Okay. The term African American generally denotes descendants of Africans enslaved in the United States. Most African Americans are descendants of enslaved people with the boundaries of the present United States. With some Black immigrants of their children may also come to identify as African American, the majority of first-generation immigrants do not, preferring to identify with their nation of origin, like Jamaican or Nigerian, etc. Most African Americans are of West African and coastal Central African ancestry, with varying amounts of Western European or Native ancestry. I'm just going to stop right there. I'm not going to bore you guys with all the spew, with the whole Wikipedia. But the main thing I wanted to highlight is this right here. And, Emily, shout out to her, she pointed out how it's like the definition of African American, they've expanded it to say partial, consisting of Americans with partial or total ancestry from a Black region. So if you got 2% African, that's one drop rule. They're going to say, oh, you part of the community because the one drop rule. Partial or total. It should be total. Damn near like partial. See, everybody else has autonomy. Like East Indians can say, well, you're not really East Indian. They try to do that with like Kamala. I seen some kind of, commentators in the UK who are like laughing at Kamala Harris. Like, you're mixed. You're not even really Indian. You got, you're only half Indian. You're not a real authentic Indian, right? They can do that. And I get that. That's fine. And Hispanics can do that, depending on their regardless of their nationality, right? Mexican, Dominican, or Puerto Rican, whatever. We know Caucasians can do that, depending on their or regardless, I should say, of their nationality. Everybody can exercise that kind of autonomy to outgroup and say, well, you're not really a part of our tribe like that. You don't fully represent us. But with the Black group, it's like there's a social, how do I say this? Like, there's a designation. They can literally just say, oh, well, you got partial African ancestry, so you belong to that group. What? No, I'm not like them. Remember that song by Kendrick Lamar, fake ass pro whack, right? With his mixed queen. Remember he had that song, Not Like Us? Yeah, I'm not like them. These aren't my folks. I don't know what to tell you. You can cry, say I'm a hater, but no, this partial or total ancestry. No, I'm a completely different entity. Okay? And everybody kind of knows that. That's why they have these popular hip hop songs, right? Like I said, with Kundrick and they not like us. They mixed race. And you have dummy pro-wax who are going to try to trick you and fool you. Be like, oh, well, it's not about the fact that he's biracial and light skinned. It's because he's from Canada. Whatever. You people are only fooling yourselves with that BS, okay? So we already went over the definition of African American in regards to Wikipedia and their kind of reinforcement of the one drop rule. Now let's get into European American. European Americans or Americans of European descent are descendants of European settlers and immigrants. This term includes both people who descend from the first European settlers in the area of the present-day United States and people who descend from more recent European arrivals. Since the 17th century, European Americans have been the largest pan-ethnic group in what are now the United States. The Spaniards are thought to have been the first Europeans to establish a continuous presence in what is now the contiguous United States. Yeah, Martin. Yeah, I can't pronounce that name. Apologize. Was that Florida, Spanish name? Okay. St. Augustus, part of Spanish Florida. The first English child born in America is Virginia Dare, 1587. I don't want to bore you guys with that. They're going into a lot of specific details with immigrants from Europe, terminology use. A survey was conducted in census recipients to determine their preferred terminology for the racial ethnic groups defined in the directive. For the white group, European American came a distant third, preferred by only 2.35 of panel interviewees, as opposed to white, which is preferred by 61%. The term is sometimes used interchangeably with Caucasian Americans, White American, or Anglo-American in many places around the United States. However, the terms Caucasian and white are racial terms, not geographic, and include some populations whose origin is outside of Europe. And Anglo-American also has another definition, meaning Americans with English ancestry. I'm saying all that because there's specifics here. There's specificity here. They got subgroups here. Yeah. Northwestern European, Eastern European, Southern European, which would be Greek, Italian, Maltese, Croatian. Okay. History, arrivals, European. Yeah. It doesn't share anything about admixture. There's no language here that talks about partial ancestry. When you look at the African American definition, I remember I just shared with you guys. Let me share it again. Did I close the tab out? I don't know. I'll bring it back up. It says partial, right? If you got partial ancestry, African American ancestry, then you're considered African American. But with the European one, it's more distinctively defined. You see here, African Americans, also known as Black Americans or Afro Americans, are an ethnic group consisting of Americans with partial or total ancestry. The semantics is important. The literature is important. You have to examine this to understand how they're able to trick you, how they're able to hoodwink you. And they use this as a reference. And like I was talking to Emily behind the scenes, and she was like, you're right. This is what a lot of people are going to use as reference. They use Wikipedia as a legitimate source to say, if you argue with them about the one drop rule, they're going to be like, well, look, Wikipedia says Americans with partial or total ancestry from any Black racial groups of America. You see how kind of broad and vague it is? Partial. What does that mean? Partial. You're 10% African, you're 90%, like the rapper Logic, right? Who's probably more so like 80% or 75%, whatever, European. He's not African American. He's not a Black guy, right? So like, this is important. This is reinforcement of the one drop rule. Okay, when we get into this African American category and how right off the bat, the first sentence they're saying, if you're partially have African ancestry, oh, you're considered a part of this group, African American. But when you go back to the European one, right, it's nothing about this partial talk. Let me share that again right here. Of European descendants of European settlers and immigrants, this term includes both people who descended from the first European. There's nothing about partial ancestry. They're able to gatekeep their ancestry with basically geography and historical facts, if I can say that, dates, right? I mean, yeah, the Spaniards are thought to have been the first European settlers, right? Even though America's, the name title comes from a Italian, right? And people, there's like mythology, or not, I would say mythology, there's like beliefs, or people are saying how Vikings came to the American shores like centuries before the Italian navigators or Spanish, etc. So there's all these other theories that are out there, but there's nothing here that talks about partial. When I look at this, there's like specifics about, you know, the Spanish who came to Florida. Okay. Yeah. And they're European, and they put them in a subcategory, right? Origin, subgroups, subgroup to white. You have some people who use stupid terms, like they say spicy white, which is really stupid and sounds fruity and flamboyant. You know, spicy, you're so spicy, right? I've heard people say that crap. A spicy white. That's so dumb. Like, why don't you give these people dignity and acknowledge them for who they are? Like, that's, you know, Southern European. They're not a spicy white. They're a Southern European. The Iberian Peninsula, if they're in Portugal, Spain, or Italy, these nations, okay, there's nothing spicy. They're human beings, okay? They're Southern European as a geography. The British Isles, Northern Europe, Southern Europe, okay? And yeah, so, but they put this here in as a subgroup category. There are a number of subgroupings of European Americans. While these categories may be approximately defined, often due to their imprecise or cultural regionalization of Europe, the subgroups are nevertheless used widely in cultural or ethnic identification. This is particularly in case in diasporic populations, as with European people in the United States generally, in alphabetical order. Some of the subgroups are, we kind of already, you know, noted the like the Greeks and the Italians and Spanish, etc. But they have the whole subgroup distinction here. Nothing about partial ancestry. I wanted to point that out. There's nothing there about partial. Oh, you're just partially European. You're partially white. I'm more than fucking partial, right? But I'm not pushing to try to fit into the white group. The thing is, it's funny because it's just part of my heritage, part of my birthright. Nobody can take that or steal that away from me. That's just part of who I am. My mom, I've always been brought up to be proud of my German ancestry. That's just part of who I am. That's my heritage and blood. Just as I've always been proud of my African American ancestry. It's part of who I am. That's what makes me and unique. So I was never raised to like deny that. And but I'm just pointing out the fact with this partial and or absolute, and how for one group, for the African American group, the definition with Wikipedia says partial is okay. You just got to be partially. That's one drop rule. But the European American, the Caucasian American, the white group, there's nothing about being partial. They're very distinct about what it constitutes to be a white individual. Very interesting. And there's no pushback. Nobody questions the literature they established, the definitions. We know the definitions change throughout the years, as we can see with mulatto. How all these black identified mulattoes and these pro-black, Afrocentric black people want to swear up and down that mulatto is such a bad word. Yeah, they don't want you to identify with that because they want you to stay as a subordinate. They want to enforce the one drop rule. So nobody, see, the words change over time. The definitions change. What might have been a negative word for a few years, okay, 100 years ago, it's not the same today. And people see that, acknowledge that, and really like you can't stop it. Like when I look at these younger people, these mulattoes and social media, you can't stop it. I'm just one guy. I mean, people think because of the branding, the Mulatto Vanguard, and all this Mulatto History Channel, like you can't stop these individuals out here because you got people that are in other niches that are doing fitness stuff, doing music, that are in healthcare, other industries who are fully embracing mulatto-ness. And so you can't stop these individuals. You can try to discourage them, but they know the importance of having a tribe and identity. So when they tell you you don't have an identity, I don't identify as black and I do identify as mulatto. So therefore my identity is being mulatto. And then what's the next step? They tell you, oh, you being mixed. That's your whole identity is being mixed. Oh, just like it is you being pro-black. That's your whole identity, right? But that's okay. That's okay for you to identify as being a victim, but nobody else. Oh, God forbid they identify with who they are, right? You got to mock them for making that their whole identity. It's not my whole identity. I'm just here using you people for content, laughing at you, pointing out the hypocrisy where it's like, we see this crap now. We have already documented all the gaslighting tactics and projection. It's like, we're just keeping the conversation going. The one drop rule. For a broader view on race, see race and ethnicity in the United States. The one drop rule was a legal principle of racial classification that was prominent in the 20th century United States. It asserted that any person with even one ancestor, black ancestry, one drop or of black blood is considered black, Negro, colored. It's called hypodescent. Is one of the more technical terms. In societies that regarded some race or ethnicity groups, people as dominant or superior to others, subordinate or inferior. Hypodescent refers to an automatic assignment of children of mixed union to the subordinate group. The opposite practice is hyperdescent, right? Ethnic groups group with lower status regardless of proportion of ancestry of different groups. The concept became codified into law of some U.S. states. I'm going to share right now, or after I kind of check this out, some idiot over on TikTok was like, the one drop rule is part of African American history, 500 years. I was like, whoa, pump the brakes, hold up. The one drop rule is mulatto history. It's mixed race history. It's not black history. Okay. And it wasn't for 500 years. Okay. They're making up crap with their proud victim mentality. That's their whole identity. They laugh at mixed people. Your whole identity is being biracial, but these other people, their whole identity is being a proud victim in America. Very pathetic. The one drop rule is not 500 years. It was like from 1924 to 1967. Okay. That's literally 43 years. So I'm sitting there thinking like 500 years, where the hell they make this crap up? And you see right here, it says law of some U.S. states. It means it wasn't fully codified in every state across the union. Although federally with the census, they were able to get mulatto removed from the federal census in that specific state. It doesn't mean that they still abided by that rule to a degree where you had mulattoes who still had privileges. They still had benefits above the black group. Because a lot of blacks in America, they'll try to trick you and say, oh, in the slavery days and this and that, you were in the civil rights era, you were just with the blacks, you know. It didn't matter if you were mixed race. That don't matter. There's no such thing as biracial. You were just with the blacks in the hood. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're lying to you guys. You guys look at the history. Like, even we know within Louisiana, with the history there, with mulatto Bend community, the mulatto communities in Louisiana and the Creole communities that have existed for centuries, the laws were a lot different there. And that's just that state. Okay, there's other states as well. That's why it says here, law of some states. Now, you know, like I said, I can pick and choose what to agree with Wikipedia, but use your discernment here. Because we know, like I said, with Wikipedia, they definitely have a vested interest in pushing and reinforcing the one drop rule, which we have to challenge. And this platform, Wikipedia, we can contest everything here on this platform. You can also edit it. There's ways you can contest it. We're going to have to do that. We're going to have to. This is the next level. From talking all this crap on social media, or this content creator, or this whatever, pro-black and all this crap, that's fun. You make your content. But this type of material, really going at the kind of technocracy, if you want to say, the needle pushers, the people who actually make the decisions, like, we really have to challenge this stuff. Not many are up to the task. Most aren't, to be honest with you. So I got to be the bad guy here. It says, like, this concept became codified law in some states. It was associated with the principle of visible blackness. The development after a long history of racial interaction of the South, which had included the hardening of slavery as a racial caste system and later segregation. Before the rule was outlawed by the Supreme Court in Loving in Virginia's decision in 1967, I'm going to share with you guys a short I did today, where I literally told the guys, like, look, the one drop rule is not a 500-year-old rule. Mulattoes have been on the census calculated since the inception of this nation. Okay? All the way back, and it was the 1790s where the first census calculation was took. We've had mulatto on the books. Like Frederick Douglass, I believe, checked mulatto as well, and then also W.E.B. Du Bois. These notable mulatto historical figures that get one dropped and lumped into black history. When this is mulatto history. The one drop rule is mulatto history, and they're trying to erase you, like what they've done with Mulatto Mountain. They renamed Mulatto Mountain to Simone Mountain in North Carolina because they want to honor Nina Simone, who's a dark-skinned, unambiguous black woman. Their claim is that mulatto is offensive. Don't use the word mulatto. Don't identify with it. So they want to change the whole damn name to a black woman. And you people accept it and you fall for it. You people don't question it. I'm saying you people. I'm talking to these mulattoes who are Bantu butt kissers, subordinates to the communita, and they got a problem with me because I call a spade a spade. You guys are okay with that. You're okay with your history being co-opted and erased. All right? Go look it up. Go look up in North Carolina, Mulatto Mountain. A couple years ago, they changed the name to honor Nina Simone, who's a dark-skinned black woman, because they're saying mulatto's offensive. We got to change the name. Let's one drop these mulattoes. We don't want to give them any historical landmarks in history. Let's just change the name to a black woman. She's black. She's not mulatto. Okay. And you people accept this shit. A lot of you do. My haters, they're cool with that. They got their bastard kids by their black baby daddy. They're trying to fit into the black community. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. And you accept it. So the one drop rule, 1924 Racial Integrity Act, they removed mulatto from the census 1930. And you see it right here, Wikipedia. Like I said, disclaimer, there's some information you can take that's notable. You can edit it and contest it on this platform, this website. Before the rule was outlawed in 1967, which means it has no legal standing today. It's not a law today. There's not a rule today. Who the hell is abiding by it? None of these white people that I see in this society of America abide by this shit. And I've traveled across this country. Because you talk to some of these blacks who don't even have a passport on social media, like, oh, the world's going to see you with a black. The world going to see you with a black. I was like, why don't you take your, someone like me, I go to Africa. I go to Ghana, Senegal, Nigeria, West Africa, even East Africa. They're not saying I'm a black. They're not saying I'm not a black out there. I was in Europe, Western Europe. They're not talking to me, looking at me like I'm a black. All these white people. Are there some that will? Yeah, for sure, probably, for sure. But I love it when I hear these people, these pro-wax kind of Afrocentrics who are like, oh, the world gonna see you as a black because the one drop rule, and they're trying to like weaponize the one drop rule, and it's very sad on their part and self-loathing and childish and kind of gross how they hate themselves so much, this crabs in a bucket, they want to like drag you down with them. Like, you got to be miserable just like me. Don't be proud of yourself because you got, a white mama. You going to just be seen as a black like me when the police pulls you over. I'm like, I don't want to deal with you, man. If you're not paying me, like, this is gross. Like, how am I going to deal with you? Like, you hate yourself so much. You hate yourself so much that now you're calling yourself an Indian, or something else or a more. Or, we all mix. I don't give a damn what the hell you are. You're not mulatto. Shit, fuck that. I'm gatekeeping this shit over here. At least with what I'm doing, the people I'm talking to. But I laugh at this. This one drop rule literally was outlawed in 1967 with the Loving in Virginia. And I did a short, there's a whole, like I said, I'll share these links for you guys, okay? I'm not going to bore you with all this stuff here, but I shared a short earlier today. I thought it was pretty funny. Or because some knucklehead fool on TikTok literally had the balls and the audacity to try to push this one drop rule bullshit, talking about 500 years. Like, bro, what? 500 years? What are you talking about? Let me share this right here. I will drop the link if you guys are inclined. Okay, you want to oblige and jump up here and challenge the quote unquote rhetoric I espouse. Because I remember some fool was talking about the rhetoric I espouse. He's some pro whack, little light skinned savior. And what we got here? Shout out to the lady. It's a biracial page on Facebook, right? Biracial Voices. Shout out to her. I believe it's a woman who runs it. Someone told me it's Talia Voider who runs it, but I'm not sure. Whoever it is wants to remain anonymous, so I apologize if I kind of spilled the beans. But someone runs the page, biracial person, proud biracial, and I saw this earlier today. Now let me share this. This is interesting, and I shared it on TikTok and also here on the YouTube platform. And this is very well kind of designed. It says social justice warriors picking what parts of white supremacy they want to keep before it's completely abolished, because white supremacy is like under a microscope, right? Like it's being challenged so much, and there's a lot of white people who have a lot of white guilt, right? And they are basically, self-haters, I guess you can say in that regard. There's a lot of them that have guilt. That's literally a term out here, white guilt. So it has stuff like here, segregation. You have a lot of white people who are literally, hey, I'm not racist. I got a black friend, right? Whatever. So, and then white is superior, and then white beauty standards, right? Racism or white power. But the one where his index finger and thumb is basically trying to grab is that one drop rule. That's the one they want to hold on to. You notice that when you challenge these Afrocentric one droppers who want to weaponize the one drop rule against you, like the same, they love the one drop rule. Well, the master, my white massa, it's because of the one drop rule. But remember, your white massa talked about 3/5 of a human being. He said that you were basically equal to a beast, a field beast, right? A mule in the field. That's what he said about you. That's your worth and value. You're basically, it's funny, you have a lot of these Asians, who are fighting back against racist blacks, and they're actually using terms like what they call that, like farm equipment. I've heard them, go that far, like, because you have these social media pages, these Asian people, they're not going to get punked by blacks in America. I don't know how it is in the UK or these other nations, but here in America, some of the most successful people are Asian Americans, whether they're Han Chinese or Japanese, Korean, etc. We're not really I'm not specifying South Asians like East Indians, etc. But a lot of the Chinese and Korean, Japanese, East Asians, like because they have a lot of businesses in America, and a lot of them are in cities that are kind of been, they have heavy black population. So a lot of their businesses are under threat by the black consumer base, right? And their stores get robbed, they get assaulted, stuff like that. And they face a lot of racism in some of these areas. So a lot of them are pushing back on social media. And I've heard some of them even refer to their detractors, right? The people, they're kind of competitors, so to speak, as farm equipment. But it falls in line with this, because that's literally what a lot of blacks were referred to as by the kind of white supremacy or white power structure, so to speak, as being a field hand, farm equipment. You're 3/5 of a human being, equal to a mule, a field beast. They don't like that one. They don't like that white supremacy about white is superior or white power. They don't like that. But the white racism that they love is the one drop rule. because it gives them a subordinate class to be their punching bag. More so than that, because they're very tribalistic, they'll hate on each other, right? You take the light skins out, take the biracials out, they'll fight each other. They've been doing it for millennia, all over Africa, all over the world. Very tribalistic. Take the light skins out. But when it comes to the one drop rule, okay, we'll reinsert the light skins back in there, but they want the women. Because we know in Blackistan, in the community, that the black males, especially if you're a pookie like Da Baby, they worship and idolize the black degenerate Bantu thug like Da Baby. And look at Da Baby. He got his preference. He got a mixed Dominican light-skinned woman, made her a baby mama. So now every other man's laughing at her. Okay. Civilized man. And so, but the guy like Da Baby, I use him as an example because he is the preference. He is idolized in the community. The pookie, savage, degenerate thug is the role model and hero in Blackistan. And you can say whatever the hell you want about Black America as a matriarchy. You have some of these idiot Black manosphere knuckleheads talking about a gynocracy. That you got a bunch of incels, the Black manosphere incels, because they prefer the kind of ghetto Keisha woman because that's all they kind of qualify for. But they realize that a lot of them can't get that woman. They can't have the best results with that woman. So they want to blame her and blame white men, blame racism, blame the systems. They say a gynocracy. It's a gynocracy. The women have control. Imagine a man in this competitive society, competitive world. You know, all these men building bombs, building fucking skyscrapers, 200. Are there any Africans on these projects building these skyscrapers, building these airplanes? Any dark-skinned Bantus building nuclear technology? No. But then you got these Black manosphere guys talking about the gynocracy because the white man worked with the black woman to suppress us, right? In their community, the degenerate Bantu fucking thug, savage, like Kendrick Lamar, any other of these piece of shit fucking rappers like Rick Ross, and who's the other scumbag? Daylight. I'm going to talk about him pretty soon. Tattoos all over his face. The Migos, Quavo, and all the other rappers, they're like the standard, the preference to the queens of the community. They're the standard. So they get their pick of the litter. They embrace the one drop rule because they want access to the mixed women. If you don't get that by now, you're going to get it. The more you listen to me and other people, you're going to understand this is what it is. They embrace the one drop rule. They don't really want to claim Barack Obama or Colin Kaepernick or any of these other guys. Like they don't, or W.E.B. Du Bois. They'll take the privileges. They'll be like, oh, yes, thank you, Thurgood Marshall, for integration. Oh, yes, thank you, W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington, for helping us build schools to educate our dumbass. Thank you. I appreciate you doing that. And they'll just spit on you and throw you under the bus. They really want access to that mixed woman. That's why the one drop rule, they love and embrace it. Okay. I know I'm going to hurt some feelings. You can clip it and record it. That's fine. This is the bare minimum. You're going to be hearing a lot more from my ass. Okay. Let me see what we got here. Like I said, got to organize it without hurting too many feelings out here. So we see how Wikipedia, and like, I'm going to drop the link. Let me see, where are we at right now? We are about an hour into this. I'm going to excuse me. I'm going to get to your guys' comments. I'm going to drop the link if you guys kind of muster up some courage, want to challenge me. But what I want to share is this right here. Okay. Now, regardless of the video, I just found any old video. It doesn't matter. And this video is talking about the one drop rule. Oh, no, excuse me. I apologize. The video is talking about the Illuminati. The Illuminati, okay? But then what do you see when you see right here? You see a link. It says Wikipedia. The Illuminati is a name given to several groups. It's just some random conspiracy theory video. Okay? And it pops up the Illuminati. Or I typed in Illuminati and it pops up this hyperlink of Wikipedia. So you click it, the link, and then a Wikipedia page shows up. Okay. But that, and I said like that they do that with like the New World Order stuff, like Illuminati or something. And then there's certain like trigger words or key words that you'll say in your video, like this video I'm doing now, so that like if you talk about the beer bug, I'm coding it right, C19. If you mention that actual, terms that are deemed kind of, sensitive, they will literally put that hyperlink of Wikipedia as a source in your video. I tried to research it, why that is. Why is it that Google is using Wikipedia as a fact check kind of tool when Wikipedia is not the most reliable source, and that they're paid off, and that you can also contest and edit a lot of information? So I'm pointing that out because this is what you see. You see how Wikipedia basically embraces the one drop rule. So it's a conflict of interest for us to fully embrace them as a credible source. Talking about mulattoes, how can we fully embrace Wikipedia as a real credible source when they're embracing the one drop rule, which we know is a rule that's weaponized to keep us as a subordinate population, neutralized, without a tribe, without a race, a racial designation, to keep us basically as a underclass in this competitive society where we have always existed before the Constitution was even ratified, before the nation's inception. We've always been a population here all over the Americas, in West Africa and Europe. But we see Wikipedia wants to embrace that. I'm going to step away for a quick minute, but I will be back, and I'm actually going to drop the link. I want to talk to some of you guys. I got a few of you people up in here. You guys, I see the Owl Show in here, some other people. So if you guys want to jump up and chop it up, I'm definitely willing to oblige. So let's see what we got here. Yeah. Gonna go bottom to top. Let's see what we got here. The Owl Shows, or Writer Owl, says one drop rule was broadly national from Plessy decision, Plessy versus Ferguson, Missouri, right? Decision then ended then end of census listing in 1920 until 1967. Technically, legally, the rule under the law. This is the pro-wax try to claim mulatto as black so they can date mulatto women. Look at both Umar and Tariq Nasheed. Yeah, Umar married a mulatto. Tariq Fraud Sheed married a mulatto. Okay, Kundrick Lamar, they not like good, right? He married a mulatto, and you got the Migos rapper. What's that cat's name? Was it Offset? Isn't he married to like Cardi B? Isn't she like a mulatto or something? She's mixed. I don't know what the hell she is, but and in a lot of these, like I said, Da Baby is married to Danny Lay, who's like Dominican. She's got like some African ancestry. Maybe not so much more in the mulatto category, but she's a Dominican regardless. She identifies as being mixed, and people like that within Latin America, they'll try to push it more so and say that they're more so black to be cool with the blacks, right? Like when I look at a Danny Lay type of character, try to identify with the blacks. She'll try to they'll try to boost it up like I'm more black than that. I only got 25% African, but I'm really just a black. Like there's a rapper, was it Immortal Technique? You guys heard of him? He's from New York. He's from Harlem or something. He's a rapper, Immortal Technique. He was big like 20 years ago. And the cat is like 25% African. But he used that 25% African, DNA to be cool with all these blacks. It could work for him because he's Latino. We know these blacks, they only gatekeep blackness to mulattoes. Everybody else laughs at the blacks. Like they'll jump into blackness and oh yeah, like they love Eminem, right? He's a whole white guy. He's cool. Jack Harrow's cool. Okay. Who else is that? Who they got? Vanilla Ice, Justin Bieber, Justin Timberlake, Robin Thicke, Adele, all these fucking blacks. They're cool with their white massa trying to pretend to be black and shit. It's only the mulatto like a Drake. That's why I played Drake in the intro, because like it's only the mulatto they try to gatekeep. I'm telling these mulattoes, you guys better develop your own shit and laugh at your opposition, but continue to build. Like, so even Drake this summer, man, his jams are going to be popping. I think Kendrick dropped an album or something, but people are only rocking with Kendrick right now because people hate Drake more than they like Kendrick, because they hate what Drake represents. Drake represents biracial excellence, and they hate that. They're envious and jealous of you. And I'm not saying all, but these haters, they are, right? And so Drake is going to be dropping hits. People are going to be listening to his stuff this whole summer. I'm going to be at the beach. Fuck that. I'm going to be partying, going to the beach. I'm already listening to Drake stuff when I'm at the gym. So, yeah, that's what we got here. Celtic mulattoes in Jamaica and some English Caribbean islands. Brown is now used for mulattoes and other mixed race peoples who are racially ambiguous. Yeah, they call it people of color too, right? In the United States of America, you're a person of color, like a Kamala Harris. Browning, yeah. Mixed race. Say Lansing Hughes claimed mulatto heritage and wrote poems also. I got to check into that. If you could share some links to that, I'll definitely put a spotlight on that. You put here, I've edited Wikipedia a few times, so they have they blocked you from editing because you contested it. Interesting. I use a different laptop and email to edit. Still, it was I who put, quote, some in Wikipedia. They had all states. Ah, interesting. We got a soldier here in the house. Celtic mulatto, see, he's doing the heavy lifting for you guys, right? He's saying he's the one who contested and put some. That it's critically important when you're reading. The reading part is fundamental when they say some, right? That the law, the one drop rule, it wasn't enforced in all the states. See, I'm a young dude. I mean, I'm a millennial guy. I'm not super young. I had some stupid idiot on his rusty bike who's like 29 years old trying to act like I'm like his daddy. It's like, bro, I'm like a few years older than you. He's like, oh, this guy's almost turning 30. It's like, bitch, I got several, or said almost turning 40. Like, I got several years ago. He's trying to over exaggerate the fact that he's only a few years younger than me and he's a loser. So he's trying to act like I'm his daddy. Like, bro, I'm in my 30s. Like, I'm still young compared to, you look at these laws, like in one drop rule, and he's talking about some states in like 1920. That's a long time ago. And a lot has changed since then. I got somebody here backstage. I'm going to pull him up. Let me check out a couple of these comments first, and I'll pull you up here. The black population and claim their contributions. Black females feel they need to claim mixed race females as black so they can say we come in all shades, colors, phenotypes. That's incredibly important. Black does not come in all shades and phenotypes. Black comes in limited shades of black and dark brown. Okay, people of my complexion, or say Chris Brown, the R&B guy Chris Brown, these are mixed people. You look at their phenotype. Black people don't look like that. There's no tribe in Africa. They refer to one tribe. I think it's Kenoshan or something. People like that's one tribe, and they're like light-skinned black people, something like that. Like whatever. Mulatto definition changed due to political ideology of the times. They tried to make it a slur to dissuade biracial mulattoes from claiming that because they, like slave owners, need to do so to enlarge the black population, right? The black population to claim their contributions. Yeah. I apologize. I kind of read the comment backwards, but yeah, like the slave owners, they need to claim mulattoes as black for a numerical advantage because they want the numbers. And you talked about that with political districts. Actually, I have a comment here of yours I want to share. The average Mexican ranges from 2 to 6 and 13% of some locations black ancestry, none called black. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of Mexicans that have African ancestry and nobody refers them as black. So, and you notice that with a lot of blacks, they respect a lot of these Latinos as far as their autonomy. They're not going to try to one drop them. But with you, the mulatto, especially if you have a black parent, see, they still feel like you got to be a subordinate to them. But it's like, wait a second, I got a white parent too. Now, which one treated me better? Which one offered me more in life, more mobility? And the whole point of mulatto is to get out of that dichotomy, is to embrace the fullness. Don't play this dichotomy game. Let them do that. Have your own lane. That's the whole point. I'm not going to be in this little battle between the black and white. That's on them because they go out of their way to create you. And then they go out of their way to fight each other. And now they want to use you as a pawn. And what I'm seeing now is a lot of these whites in America are working with these blacks in America. They're working together, conspiring together to go against mulattoes. This is what we're seeing that's going on. Not many people are talking about that, but this is what we see. And you'll see it with these people who are white and they're praising Kendrick, when Kendrick's the same guy who tried to like humiliate this white girl on stage in front of all these people at a concert. He didn't want her to say the N-word, right? And they'll still support him. Fuck out of here. Ironically, the one-drop rule never applied to Latinos of color. Exactly. In fact, in the military, they segregated Puerto Ricans from blacks and whites. They respected the autonomy of that racial demographic of Puerto Ricans or Latinos. Even though a lot of Latinos, because you look at a definition of African American, it said partial ancestry, right? There's a lot of Latinos who got partial African ancestry, but they're their own group. Their autonomy is respected as Puerto Ricans or even Brazilians, etc. But with the mulatto, they want to keep you as a subordinate punching bag. Thus, you hear phrases like blacks come in all shades and others because the movement of mixed race people being able to define themselves has engendered a backlash and counter movement. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, they see that a lot of us are polarizing together. And it said here, this Wikipedia definition is no surprise. There seems to be there seems to be a move to define African Americans as a mixed race group, right, in recent years. I don't think this was the case decades ago. Now they're basically pushing and say that we're all mixed race. Every black person's mixed. They're doing that. It's their ploy to keep mixed people as a subordinate underneath blackness. And instead of respecting the autonomy and sovereignty for mixed people or biracial people, I like the word mulatto, but a lot of other peoples don't. And instead of respecting our sovereignty or an autonomy, they're trying to hoodwink you and gaslight you to say, well, all African Americans are mixed race, because they have some minimal admixture from the plantation days, They're blacker than Wesley Snipes will be like, well, black comes in all shades, I look like Wesley Snipes, but, I got some European DNA. That's fine. Okay, but we're not the same. Slavery was most brutal by the Northern Europeans. nations of the Netherlands and English. This is why the term mulatto is perceived by the Dutch and English as so taboo and polarizing. That is an interesting point you put there. I don't know. Was it harsh with the Spanish or the Portuguese or the French? You hear stories in Haiti. The way they tell the stories in Haiti was that the brutality was so horrendous. That's why the uprising, the revolt, was so monstrous. The response, because they were talking about how the conditions were so uncivil that the people were just, they couldn't take it anymore. They had to revolt. But yeah, you say the English and Dutch. Interesting. It's also like everyone can do that to anyone mixed and mixed race people don't get our own designation. Yep. We don't say white Americans are people who are partially white. Exactly. But that's the reinforcement of the one drop rule with Wikipedia. They're saying if you have partial African ancestry, oh, you're part of the black group. No, I'm not like them. And you're gonna be like, oh, well, my white massa says you are. I don't give a damn. That's your massa. That ain't my massa. I don't know what you people are talking about. It's only an issue in the US and maybe UK. Other nations and places like Brazil, Cape Verde, and South Africa have separate classifications and even distinct populations for biracial and mulatto. Exactly. I did a stream talking about the colored people. I've connected with quite a few colored people. I was actually talking to a woman today, colored woman, who has a tourist business in South Africa today. So I've been connecting with a lot of these people for quite some time. That's why I kind of did that stream last week on the colored, because I realized there's quite a few colored people who are finding my content and material, not only here on YouTube and on Instagram, but also on TikTok. I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to learn more about them because I've known they've existed for years. They're a specific kind of multiracial population, but I feel like they don't get that much media representation. I don't really know that much about them. So I want to learn more. So I did that stream to kind of let them know, hey, I see you, post a comment. Let's learn more about you. Let's give you your just due promotion. So, and yeah, I'm still in contact with them. It's a beautiful thing. The woman says suddenly biracial people are everywhere. Well, the U.S. Census decision in 2000 to allow mixed race designation helped open up the floodgates. Yes. And it's only going to, with social media, the proliferation of this information, it's only going to grow. Even people who find my channel, they realize, oh, shit. You see usernames of these channels. Like you have this one right here, Mulatto 1316. She says in France, we say Mulatre. I believe that's the right pronunciation. There's a gentleman up here earlier, the real mulatto. What's up, fellow mulattoes? So, like, even with this social media proliferation of this information, these people are jumping out like, hey, I'm mulatto, I'm mulatta, I'm here. What's up? Right? So word making a big difference. Okay. I haven't heard anything about mulatto or biracial in Cuba. The lady says they are celebrated. Yeah. I'd like to look into that more. So there's a comment from a gentleman, the Celtic mulatto, who's in the chat. I want to talk about his comment as well that I saw. Let me see if I can pull it up. Do I have it here? Let me see it. I think that I drop it. Oh yeah, I have it right here. Okay. Let me share the comment from Celtic Mulatto. Shout out to you, because I did see this comment and I wanted to kind of make this a part of the whole discussion. Because I believe Celtic Mulatto, you put this comment on one of my videos. I don't recall which one it was, but nevertheless, I'm going to respond to it now. Puts here, they want to neutralize one of the fastest growing demographics in America. Can this video be shared on X? I try and always cannot upload. Mulatto Vanguard, it's politics, and they desperately want to keep, let me actually zoom it up. You guys can see that. Cool. They desperately want to keep mulattoes or a mixed race classification not separate. And that's when you look at Wikipedia, they talk about partial. So they want to claim, it's like, I'm not a black like you. Like, I'm not like you. Like Kendrick Lamar said, I'm not like you. And I'm just one guy, but trust me, my supporters, listeners, followers, whatever you want to call them, a lot of these individuals, these people, they follow, they're basically in lockstep. They agree. Like, look, we're not like them. Okay, they're a different group. We've come to that realization now. We're boldly, assertively, and proudly realizing and saying, look, we're different than you. We're mulatto, we're mixed race, we're not the same as you. Okay. But they desperately want to keep us as their subordinate. More mixed race classify as just black. Yeah, like we talked about the census, they say 3% is black, or that's because they identify as black. It's not because they're technically black. That's just what they check on the box. If they had their own box, we would see how they identify, right? And first, there needs to be a census. Oh, we put what the larger their district grows, which is more voting power and money in that person's pockets. First, there needs to be a census for mixed race peoples, not admixture. That's critically important because we have it now where there's people who have literally minimal admixture who want to say they're mixed race, or they say they're MGM, or they say they're exotical for the females. These are black people with minimal admixture who want to say they're just like us. No, you're not. Okay. Sorry, guys. I hurt your, say, you can say I'm being divisive. Sorry to hurt your feelings, but I'm drawing a line in the sand and I'm going to gatekeep. Everybody else has the right to gatekeep. White Americans can gatekeep. That's fine. I'm not trying to be white. It's part of my heritage, just like I'm part of my heritage is black. I am uniquely independent. I'm mulatto, and there's a lot of people out here just like me. What official term we can all agree on and who are included in and quote unquote accepted as accepted AA such in that community. Only then we can move forward. Without that agreement, it's all in vain, a waste of time and emotions. Surveys and signatures are required, and petition OMB, which is the Office of Management and Business, I believe. Yeah, Office of Business, Budget and Management. They're the ones who direct the United States Census. Okay, they allocate resources for the population's representative government, who sets the census and racial classifications. I got the Al Show here. Let me finish this last paragraph here. I'll let the Al Show speak. It says, Mulatto Vanguard, this is the response I got from her. I think this is one of the concerns of the Afro-Latino coalition that we mention as well as others. The definition for black does include Jamaican and Haitian as examples, but I think the plan is to do further research with the committee they set up because basically they test questions to see whether people's responses increase or decrease as they change them. The two changes that are being adopted were actually approved in the Obama administration, but held up by the Trump administration. So it's taken longer to get these changes made. Now, what that was in reference to, if I'm not mistaken, Celtic Mulatto, who's in the chat, that was in reference to an article I shared, or I believe Celtic Mulatto shared, where they're including two other designations in the next census report, but it's not going to be for mulattoes specifically. They're including a Latino distinct population, if I'm not mistaken. I think I saved the article. Hispanic, Latino, Middle Eastern, and North African will be on the federal race categories. So they are including North African and Middle Eastern, which historically a lot of Middle Eastern was classified as white in America. For Caucasians defined by people that are based in Europe, the Middle East, or North Africa. But now they're basically giving North Africans, which is like Egypt and Morocco and other nations, they're giving them a distinct category, just like the Middle Eastern. That's independent from the, white, because they were all in the Caucasian umbrella. And it's very interesting, right? But so they're honoring them and Latino, but the mulatto, right? You and me, Celtic Mulatto, a lot of other supporters here, the Al Show, they're still telling you guys, you just got to be in the African American box because, right? What do you have to say about that, Al?
Well, hello. I think you can be in the mixed race option on the census. That you can be because that changed in 2000. But
Multiracial, yeah.
Yep. You can be that. I mean, that's why you have like the video you showed earlier where the woman said, "Oh, all these people came out." It's classification and categorization, the two C's. The reason people have supposedly come out of the woodwork is you've always had mixed race people. The difference is they couldn't classify themselves. because of societal taboo in the United States and official lack of options in regards to official categorization and classification. Because as anyone who knows anything about the census understands, the census impact is not simply, it's not about the count. It's using that as a citation and a reference and a foundation for appropriations in Congress and for programs and for all kinds of others. So it has an impact. The fact that it's count, that there even is a mixed race option, and that they're counted officially. I had heard before then that there was an unofficial secret count of biracial people before they went with the mixed race option in 2000. I'm not sure. But have you done a video on, because I hear about this Drake thing and Kendrick Lamar. I take it you have done videos about that?
Yeah, I did a live stream and I did a few videos. You know, it's a trending topic on social media. Even it's funny because I don't know if I can pull it up, but I'm start putting up some material over on Threads, which is like the Meta, their new app, Threads. They're kind of competing with X. It's called Threads. Mark Zuckerberg.
Where is it? Is that Facebook?
Well, it's Meta. Yes, it's under the umbrella of Instagram.
Oh,
and Facebook,
yeah.
But it's a competitor platform to Elon Musk's X, formerly known as Twitter.
Right, Twitter.
It's called
right.
Threads. All I did was upload a little like photo with Drake and a quote that I made with Drake, or I generated with Drake, and I put the hashtag Drake versus Kendrick, and I got a lot of traction. Never before, all the other stuff I've uploaded there, nobody was even seeing my stuff. I got like 70 followers over there. Nobody's seeing it. No one's commenting. There's no engagement over there. But yesterday, all I did, I uploaded that photo and I put that hashtag Drake versus Kendrick, and a lot of people chimed in. It's a very the topic is it's buzzing right now on social media. And the thing is, the undertone of it is Black versus biracial, because Kendrick Lamar represents the Black community and Drake represents a quote unquote privileged biracial who's not from the Black community. So that's the whole discussion's based off race, basically.
Yes. So interesting. I never heard of this Threads. I guess it's brand new or something, or it's relatively newer.
It's super brand new. Like I don't know, like several months. It's
okay. That's new, relatively new, yeah.
Yeah.
So here, I don't know the particulars about it, other than there was this Lamar song or something, and you know, there's antagonism between. This is one of the reasons why I've said, and I've said this for years on biracial groups. When I was on biracial, I was still technically on biracial groups on Facebook. But this is the reason why I have said, when you're mixed race, I guess in this context, mulatto, I guess, Black, white, biracial. This is why I've said that you have to be very careful with any decision you make to be a part of a monoracial community, and even to see yourself as monoracial, because as you're well aware, and people here are well aware, there are people who do not, I guess the term is identify, I never liked that term, but identify as biracial. You have a significant, I don't know what the numbers are, but you have a number of people who see themselves as monoracial, and they even have disdain for the idea of being biracial, even though they are, which I regard that as a kind of form of cognitive dissonance. I've never understood it. Granted, I understand the racism and discrimination and the history in regards to mixed race people in this country, but it's still a weird thing to hear mixed race people say, I'm X, or I'm this, or I'm that.
Yeah, there's a lot of self-hating biracials, and I've run into a lot of them here on YouTube. I mean, you've seen them on Facebook and stuff like that.
I saw them when I was on Facebook.
Yeah,
Are you kidding me? I saw 'em. That's why I've told people I
they're
don't deal
wannabes.
with what I call wannabes.
Yeah, they're
I
wannabes.
don't
Yeah,
deal with them. I don't deal with them because they've made their mind up
yeah.
and they know what they want, and they're going to have to face very tough, sometimes brutal and hard lessons. And when you see these people, because sometimes I see videos, not as much these days,
Mhm.
because I'm looking at other things on YouTube, because I don't have a presence on YouTube anymore. This is kind of a rare thing for me to be here. But but I do watch YouTube, and so when I see people on shows or programs complain about, oh, I'm discriminated against by black people or African Americans. Yeah, you're discriminated against because you're trying to fit into a community that technically you don't really fit in. And
There's a lot of confusion though. Sorry to cut you off because
no, that's all
they
right.
they will weaponize the one drop rule and they'll hoodwink and trick biracial people thinking that they're a part of the family or part of the club, but then they'll conveniently outgroup them whenever it suits them. That's why
Will it depend?
a lot of biracial people are confused about their identity.
Mhm.
Like they'll sit there and be like, "Well, the
Mhm.
world sees me as black. I'm just black." But then they get upset when a black person outgroups them. It's like they don't realize they're being played against. Like they're other people are playing a trick against them. It's like you have to embrace being mixed.
It's
Like
a
you're not
weird
black.
situation.
Like I don't.
It,
Yeah.
it's a weird situation because fundamentally it's a catch 22 in a way. It's a catch 22 because what you have going on again, I've been seeing in the years that I've been on mixed race groups on social media, and I've seen biracial people on social media. You have these people that are very militant and they're very focused on being seen solely as black or African American. And they don't understand that they cannot audition their way or work their way or earn their way to being black, because some of these people will say, oh, well, I'm an activist, or I marched, or I did this, or I've worked in communities. And that doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, people know their own. Every group knows your own. I think you mentioned something about every ethnic and racial group knows their own. But
Yes.
there's been this confusion, including African Americans. They know their own. You go to African nations, you can't play that game. You
Right.
can't do it.
I learned that.
They
Yeah.
will not tolerate. Yeah, you understand that. If you've been there,
Yeah. The tribal.
You can't go there.
Yeah. The tribal affiliations
Good.
are very strong. It's very strong. Like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
you can't fool them. They know their own. But even in America, there's so many subtle nuances where African Americans know their own, but they're
Mhm.
very
Yeah.
crafty and strategic on how they're able to kind of hoodwink a lot of these biracials who just want acceptance. They want a place of belonging. And a lot of biracials haven't had their wake up call. They haven't figured it out yet that they're
Mhm.
basically their own thing. They're not a part of that group. But what I want to
Well,
share,
that's go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
Sorry.
Well, no, I just wanted to
Well, I was
share.
gonna say.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Yeah, what I was going to share here was on Threads, this website or this application that popped up. It's under the Meta umbrella. You can look at the engagement here. Start off with Shamar Moore. I just share some photos and some live streams. I'm half white, half black. I'm proud to be white. I'm proud to be black. But basically, biraciality. It's got 1 like, no engagement, no comments. Okay. This one, no likes, no comments, no likes, no comments, no likes, no comments. This is a beautiful quote. Adele James says, there are no disadvantages of being biracial. I even hashtag biracial. No engagement. 2 likes, 1 like, no likes. I shared this 2 days ago with Drake, the Drake versus Kendrick. I hashtag Drake versus Kendrick. So I'm giving some people some free game, basically, right? Giving them some free game, how they can kind of boost themselves in the algorithm off trending topics, so to speak. Look at how the numbers changed. 144 likes, 75 comments, and 7 people kind of shared this post. And I shared this across social media. I shared this here on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. This is Threads. I think this is the most engagement I got off all the apps is Threads, which is a new app. But yeah, Drake versus Kendrick. It just shows how much this topic of Drake versus Kendrick is so polarizing in the culture today with the younger kind of generation, the pop culture, hip hop. It's all centered around black versus biracial. They don't want to see this biracial man, Drake, who identifies as biracial. They don't want to see him win. Look at the quote: being biracial and being young, along with being American and Canadian, allows me to try and cover all the bases and expand my fan base to a level that is yet to be seen. I had to block a bunch of people because you have a lot of these like racist, hateful black people who will spread these false allegations, and they'll spread rumors and conspiracies, and they'll just spread false allegations to defame and slander this guy. So I just had to block these people. Like, there's no way to even like go back and forth with them. If they're going to slander him without any evidence, false allegations, I just block them. Get out of here. Like, I don't want that energy on my social media. But so there's a lot of haters like that. But yeah, the thing is the engagement. Look at the jump of engagement from getting 1 like or 0 likes on my post to where I got 144 likes. That's a massive jump. But it's based off these kind of trending topics. But it's all, for me, my content is based around mulatto-ness or biraciality, whatever term you want to use. I'm specifically highlighting those who are of European African descent. They belong over here in all my social media. And of course, I have Pardos, Dominicans, Brazilians, coloreds, etc. But just want to share that. Go ahead, Al.
Well, I was going to say what Drake has gotten is what I call the biracial wake-up call. And if he doesn't learn from this, he won't ever learn. But he's learning what happens to a number of biracial people when they try to be monoracial. This is why over the years, the only thing I've said, I don't really try to give advice because people should live their lives however they wish. But the only advice I've given is you have to be very careful when you try to represent yourself in monoracial terms as a biracial or multiracial or mixed race person, especially as a biracial person. It doesn't really work in African American communities because, contrary to what the prevailing mindset might seem, or the prevailing beliefs might seem, every people know their own. African Americans are no different. They know who's black and they know who's not.
Yes,
And
precisely. They know who is a part of their tribe.
Right. They know. And
But
so the way
there's hoodwinking.
Go ahead, sorry.
There's hoodwink. Well, I was going to say there's hoodwinking going on.
Yeah, but the problem is this. This is what I see the problem as. There's a percentage of African Americans who have absolutely no problem acknowledging biracial people and will state, hey, they're biracial, they're not really black. But see, those people are not seen in a positive light. They're seen as negative when they're just being honest and they're just being realistic. Because I've talked to some African Americans who, they have absolutely no problem. In fact, they'd rather do that. They don't really want biracial people representing them or being seen as them. And to be honest, they're right. Because it makes no sense. It's not good. I've said this before. It's not good for African American communities because every community does not do this. I think you had mentioned something along this line. This is what I've seen in the time that I got on biracial groups and in the time that I have kind of looked at mixed race people and examined them and read as what I could and seen what I could in terms of videos and so forth. Every ethnic or racial group or what have you understands who is a part of their group and who isn't. What an individual who is part of their group looks like and who isn't. And for some reason, this isn't really understood in this country, even among people who aren't African American. Other groups also, they don't get it too. Even though the one drop rule doesn't really, it's not really part of their radar, not in our radar or part of it. They don't get it either. But that's why the advice I've given is, you got to be very careful. You look at Drake, this should be an object lesson to anyone who deals with a monoracial community and tries to play by the rules. You can't do it. When you have a Kendrick Lamar song, I mean, I don't know the guy. I've never heard any of his music because I don't listen to rap music. But I've been told, or I've seen, or I watched in videos, supposedly Not Like Us. Is that the name of the song? It's pretty clear that that song is pretty much bifurcating, right? This Drake is not like us, meaning he's not like black people. And that is a kind of microscopic example of what's been done over the years to a number of biracial people. They basically have been told that. And they basically, and again, what I've said before is some people, they get very involved politically, they get very involved in community affairs, and they think that they're being part of some black organization or group or being an activist and all that is going to help them, is going to be acknowledged. And the reality is, it won't change a thing. Even if people like you and go along with you to an extent, it won't change anything. You're still going to have people not like you. You're still going to be disliked. They're still going to think, yeah, you're not one of us. That's how it works.
You not like us. Yeah. The whole,
I mean, it's like,
that's the song.
right.
So, this is a song they're trying to pretend.
Yeah, but that's a perfect example. That song in miniature.
It's about biracial. It's about biracial people. Okay. That's what the song's about, but they'll try to lie and they'll hoodwink you and trick you to make you think, oh no, it's actually about, people from Canada. It's not about mixed people and biracial people, right? This is what they'll try to do to trick you. Watch. This is exactly the guy. There's a guy who actually laid it out perfectly. Let me share this clip so you can see this.
What is that?
Not Like Us was not about the West Coast versus the world. Not Like Us. They not like us. He's talking about light-skinned people. He's talking about biracial people. He's talking about anybody that's not his complexion. That's what he's talking about in that song. You Negroes can sit back and pretend like you don't know what it is. Well, I'll help you out.
Yeah, so there's a lot of foolery where people are trying to trick you and be like, oh, no, it's not about the fact that you're biracial. It's because he comes from another culture. He's not from the hood in America. He has a white mom. He's from Canada. Yeah, it's because he's biracial. That's why they're hating on the guy. And, I just love how they're very bold with it today because it basically forces us to collectivize and develop something that's independent from them, basically distancing ourselves for security, but also for community. To me, it's working out very good. I like what I've developed.
Again, to me, it's a wake up. I mean, I've talked about biracial wake up call, and I've said this to other people at times, maybe, I don't know, a few times or whatever. And it's like, I can't think of a better example and a more obvious example than this Drake and Kendrick Lamar, whatever, and the song. That should give you an indication. If you don't get it after seeing a situation like that, I can't help you. I don't know anyone can help you. I mean, you live your life however you want. But
yeah, this was a great moment for us. I mean, for people who identify like me and you, who identify as biracial, right? I mean, I specifically use the word mulatto because it's like oneness, but I know with your case is different. Other people it's different. But let's just say for all intents and purposes, for us, collectively in this kind of community, so to speak, this is great. I mean, the Drake versus Kendrick thing is great, not only for content because of numbers, but it's polarizing, and it asks the question, and it forces people to have a paradigm shift. A lot of people are getting their wake-up call because of this situation. And it's sad because you'll see a lot of people who are biracial who are kind of dancing the Kendrick, taking Kendrick's side, but they're so foolish to not understand that that song and Kendrick's fans, they're talking about you. Like, that song was basically an anti-biracial song, or it was a song to basically let biracials know that they're not like us. They're not like the blacks and the African Americans, that they're different than us. That's what that song was all about. And you'll have biracials, wannabes, who are so stupid, like they'll dance to it like, oh, this is a cool jam, you know, and all this. And a lot of people, if they're not getting their wake-up call with this Drake situation, they're going to get it down the line. It's inevitable because our numbers are growing with the growth trajectory. Platforms like mine are growing. My social media presence is growing. It's just inevitable. The conversation is not going to stop. It's only going to grow, and there's going to be new developments that are going to happen down the line that are going to continue to basically reinforce the fact that we need to have this independent classification. But yeah, we're 2 hours deep into this. Go ahead. Yeah.
That's why I always caution people. That's why personally, again, I'm somebody, if you're dealing with African Americans, I always say I'm biracial. If I'm on I don't really do panels anymore. This is kind of rare for me to do this. But I always say I'm biracial because I understand you're in somebody else's, not just community, even if you're on their channel, if they're African American, whatever ethnicity, you're in their community, you're in their cult, you're in their backyard. And I consider it respecting their community in their backyard to say, I'm biracial, I'm mixed race. And that's why I do it. And people don't understand why, you know, maybe some people don't. But I say, hey, you don't see me suffering the fate of Drake. I've never been through that.
Well, Drake is well off. He's got a private jet.
Yeah,
like,
I know. He's successful.
Yeah, but
that's the problem. That's why they hate him. He's successful.
That's why they hate him. That you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
That's because he's a successful biracial man who dares to be great
in industry that's largely African American, monoracial African American.
Yes, sir.
They don't. That's why they hate him. That's why they've hated him for years. And again, I try to say this to people. I've tried to, in my own way, I've tried to say, look, because I think I was thinking of something before, and that is, you have the people who are wannabes. A number of them are very highly identified with Black people. They just love the African American culture and all of that. On the one hand, I can respect that. I understand that's what you have an affection for African Americans and all that. But you can never fully be a Black person. And they don't want to face that. It's a bitter pill for them to swallow. And, it hurts them. I mean, again, I see this. I mean, I've seen this reading comments on YouTube, comment pages, and I've seen it on what is that? On, shows where maybe it's a biracial person. It really hurts them when African Americans treat them badly or don't like them because they're mixed race. But you have to understand, you're a stranger. How do I put this?
In their community.
I don't want somebody to clip this, but what the hell? I don't deal in biracial spaces anymore. I'm not on YouTube for the most part. When you're mixed race, when you're a mulatto person, whatever, you're essentially a guest. You're somebody who's you're a visitor in the Black community. I'm just looking specific African American. You're a visitor, and they'll treat you like a visitor. They will not treat you like a resident. They will not treat you like somebody from the town. Even if you move in, you're still a visitor. And you have to understand part of that is they, a number of people have to be cautious. They have to be wary because of racism and discrimination. They look at you and they go, oh, what are you going to do? Are you going to hurt me? Are you going to do something against me or whatever? That's why when you have the racists like the Chancellor Williams, or is that his name? I think it's his name,
yeah.
Chancellor Williams.
Yeah.
The virulently anti-biracial, anti-mulatto, anti-mixed race guy. That's their view of, they have this old-fashioned, highly racist view of, I don't like the term mulatto, but whatever, mulatto people, biracial people, mixed race people. And that is, you're traitors, you're against the interest of African Americans, you're this, it's a term, I don't even know if I should use this term, but it's one that Israelis use against Africans, infiltrator. They see you as an infiltrator.
Yeah, I had someone who referred to mulattoes as like a buffer class. They use that term with us. They say,
yeah, that's another ugly term they use
between the white and black. But what they're admitting that they view themselves as being black as the bottom. So they look at us, they're mad when we identify as mulatto or biracial because they feel like, oh, you think you're better than me and you're just a buffer between black and white, so you're going to be above us. And like, they play that game, and a lot of mulattoes feel sorry for them, unfortunately, and that's on them. But yeah, I'm going to kind of close things out now. It's been a pleasure talking with you. It's been over 2 hours. Okay. And you want to everything else you want to finish off before I kind of close it out? It's
well late. I think there was something I did want to bring up. And that is, one of the things that you have to understand is that it's a contested issue. Like, again, I'm on this is my official YouTube channel. My other one I don't use anymore, so that's defunct. But I check it for maintenance, and sometimes I make comments on videos, so forth. And I remember there was a couple of instances. One, there was a guy who was doing this video about Cape Verde. And Cape Verde has a population of mostly mixed race people. It's a largely mixed race place because these are islands off the coast of Africa. And one of the things that, and he's, I think interviewing women and asking them where they date, like a West African or whatever. Something like that. And he had said at one point in the video, oh, well, the outdated one-drop rule, but some in Cape Verde classify themselves as white or something like that, or something else, and it's controversial. I said, well, on the one hand, and I noted in the comments, on the one hand, you're saying that the one-drop rule is outdated. On the other hand, you're saying somehow classifying yourself, or mixed race people classifying whatever they are, as controversial. This is a contradiction, and you certainly have disrespect for biracial people. And the guy reacted in a way I didn't expect him to react in the kind of way that he did. He was trying to insult me and call me a bunch of names, which doesn't matter to me, but I didn't expect that would hit a nerve with certain people. I think there was another one. Oh, yeah. There's a guy. I don't know if I should mention this channel. It's odd. There's a guy who has a channel about Brazil. He's a Black American who lived in Brazil, but he has this channel about Brazil. And he supposedly looks at it from a perspective of race. And it's interesting because I cannot find stuff about mixed race people in Brazil.
Yeah, I'm connecting with a lot of Pardos, mainly on like my Instagram, but I'm trying to get. Yeah, there's a language barrier, right, with the Portuguese and English. I'm trying to learn some Portuguese, but we definitely need to build a bridge and connect with them. I'm doing my part. I have on Instagram, my Mulatto Vanguard Instagram. Like, most of my followers are Pardos in Brazil. So because there's a lady who has a huge following who found my page and she shared a few of my shorts. And after she shared it, I got a ton of followers. A lot of her followers started following me. So shout out to
Interesting.
her. Like, I'm gonna collaborate with her in the future, but they're there. The Pardos are fighting back, and I have a couple of
I
them.
would right.
Yeah.
Since you are involved in the biracial mulatto content online, that's an area that I would recommend. That area, Brazil, because their census had come out recently and stated that they're the largest population in Brazil. The Pardo, brown, or mixed race are now the largest. They just edged out the I think Blanco, I think,
Yeah.
or white. They
I
just
mean,
mixed it out. But
they're
I cannot
definitely.
find any videos or content. I mean,
I
that's why I
know.
go to this guy's channel, because he
Me either.
mentions a little, but he's an American who
Yeah.
lived there, and
It's different. It's not the same. Their racial consciousness is not the same. Like, even when I went to Africa, their
Mhm.
their concept of race is not the same as what we think of it in America. Different groups of
Mhm.
people around the planet, like, they look at race and tribe and ethnicity differently than us in America, and we have to
Right.
respect that. We just have to acknowledge it and analyze it. But as like what you said with the Pardos, I don't see a lot of representation, and I don't know their stories. I want to learn more. I know there's a language
Right.
barrier, but
I
that's
can't
why I did
find
the video.
video. That's why I went to that guy's video.
Yeah. No,
And he
they,
has
they
this
have.
weird view. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. Well, he's an
He has
Afrocentric
this,
guy. He's Afrocentric, is what it sounds like. Yeah.
I don't know if he is. He may be, but he's equivocating all the time about it, because he seems to he's like, well, because the actual African population of Brazil is like 10% in Brazil. I don't know where these numbers come from that said that Brazil is like the largest black population in South
Because all the
America.
mixed people, it's because all the mixed people, all the
Right.
Pardos, they're trying to say
It's not
because they
true.
got like
It's a
5%
lie.
African. you
Right.
know?
It's a lie. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the things I discovered, not just there, but elsewhere. I'm like, because I hear those numbers, I go, okay, well, that's large. And it was really the part who are like over 40%, like over 45%. And it's like, he's like, that guy is trying not to agree with the one drop rule, but at the same time, he's sort of like, trying to say that, oh, there's got to be black people among the Pardus. Brazil is different. They've had a racial classification of mixed race people or brown people for decades. It's not new. It's old. It's been around for years. The problem with Brazil is you have what they call the Movimento Negro, the black movement. And what the black movement has done in Brazil is try to amalgamate brown and black people. They've been trying to get brown people to identify and classify themselves as black.
Well, look at this comment you see here from Celtic Mulatto. He puts, the media uses social engineering to carry on the old one drop rule to the mass. It's black populations, i.e., Black caucus, that pushes it so everyone sees mulattoes as just black. That's their strategy. And it's a political strategy because they want the numbers. When you point it out, where it's like in Brazil, their black population is realistically only like 10%, where they're trying to make it, they tried to, basically say that it's like 40%, which is not true. It's the Pardos they're calculating as black.
Yeah,
It's the
I
same in
didn't know.
America with all the
Right.
multiracials in America, whether they're mulatto or Afro-Latino or Blasian or just multiracials. They're trying to say these people are just black too. But like the census, the video said 3% multiracials. We have larger numbers than 3%. But a lot of multiracials just check the black box and just identify as black, thereby increasing the black number only on paper, right? But that's significant because then when they talk about these districts and allocating resources, in Celtic Mulatto, who's more astute than me when it comes to this, he can articulate it better just based off his comments. He knows where it's like, this is their political strategy for political power and numerical advantage. They want to, right?
Well, here's the thing. If you look at African Americans in terms of politics, biracial people have never been. They've never been in. You know, what's happening in Brazil is not the same as the U.S. Right? African Americans didn't really try to get mixed race people to classify themselves as black because they didn't need to. Because prior to the was it the Loving decision, when you had the one drop rule and you had all that, you know, biracial people, mulattoes, were seen as simply African American, simply as black. So, and that was not a tactic. Biracial people were never really a part of the civil rights movement tactic. They weren't a tactic. They weren't seen as a political instrument. Whereas in Brazil, because they've never had a one drop rule and because they've had a separate biracial mixed race population, the Pardo or the Brown, those individuals are mixed race. And in Brazil, my understanding is they have a Pardo movement.
Yep.
So they
I
have
have a lot
a
of
movement.
followers. Yeah.
So I don't, again, the weird thing about YouTube, this is like, it's funny. I can find out about the quote colored. I have to say that carefully because some people will get upset. Maybe Thai people who don't like Tyler, but
Well, the Americans,
yeah,
It's
Americans will get
it's
upset.
perfectly fine in South Africa. Like it is
Right.
perfectly fine.
And they say proudly colored in South Africa. You have people, I'm proudly colored. So they're not
Yeah.
offended by it.
Yeah.
But because you had that video about South Africa. But in
Yeah,
South
yeah.
Africa, you've had the colored population. And in places like Cape Verde, you have a mostly mixed race population. Even Dominican Republic
Yes.
is mixed.
And Cuba has a significant population too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that comment. I saw that about the lady that was. She said she was mulatto and from Cuba.
Yeah.
I know nothing about mixed race people in Cuba.
Yeah. We need to hear the thing is we don't hear these voices. That's the thing, Al, is because there are language barriers in, you know, Latin America, the Caribbean, like even Panama. There's a lot of mixed race people in all these nations, but because there's language barriers or even access to internet, a lot of people aren't telling their stories. So we don't hear their stories. And that's the thing, like there's a lot of Americans who are on social media, like myself and you. It's easy for us to grab our cell phone and just talk and just tell the world who we are and our story. But I feel like a lot of these other people in these other nations, maybe they're busy, they're working, they just don't take the time to tell the world their story. But I'm trying to give other people a voice.
Right.
We need to expand.
That may be it, but I think it's not just it. That's why I said I can see videos about the colored in South Africa, or maybe even some about maybe people in Haiti. But I don't see anything about the Pardo in Brazil. You will find about the African population in Brazil. I don't see it in English. I don't see it. So it's hard for me.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I saw that guy's stuff. And even he's, it's weird. He's sort of like, he's very, he just varies in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have to do more research. And that's kind of what I'm doing here with like my social media is basically to make it that type of platform, a forum where I can just do more research, bring people on, share information, and continue the conversation. I want to inform the public that we are out here. But yeah, I'm gonna close things out right now. It's getting late for me.
Yeah, but I wanted to bring that out because I think it's important because the Pardo, the mixed race population in Brazil is the largest population now in that country.
Yeah.
And again, I cannot find English language videos about mixed race people in Brazil.
We got to do something about that. I think it's on us.
Frustrating as hell.
I think it's on us. We got to do something about that. We got to be that bridge. I think the opportunity is there for us to be that bridge, to make this type of content, to share with the public and let them know that we see them. They have a voice. Let's build a bridge. Let's build connections. I've already done that with my social media. Just that language barrier is pretty significant, but I got to find ways to bypass that and get the information out there. I appreciate you hopping on, Al.
All right. Thank you for having me. It's rare I go on YouTube, but thanks.
Yeah, thank you for hopping up. Appreciate it. Yeah, guys, it's been a very informative stream. It's getting late for me, so I gotta take my gotta I gotta go to bed. Gotta take my rear end to bed, wake up, go to the gym, do it all over again. Rinse, cycle, repeat. I'll be back pretty soon with another live stream. I appreciate you guys being here. Shout out to the chat. The Owl hopped up on here. Mulatto 1316, Val's in the chat. Northern Light, appreciate you. Celine, everybody in the chat, the real Mulatto, all you guys. I see all you guys. Respect you. Really appreciate you guys. And let's keep this conversation going. Please, guys, like the video, share the live stream as well, and post a comment as well. Tell me, you can always email me. You guys see my IG on the screen. You guys can send me a message. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, critiques and feedback, what you want me to talk about. I'm always open. I'm always open to ideas. I'm doing this to serve you guys, to give us a voice. And everything's going along good. And I'm really thrilled with what I'm seeing. Love you guys. Respect you guys. And I'll talk to you next time. Peace.